Welcome to the Metro Arts Commission November meeting. Let's see. Yeah. Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, great. Pursuant to the provisions of 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, please take notice that decisions of the Arts Commission may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal may be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the Commission. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that time and procedural requirements are met. Again, thank you all for being here, and early happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Our land acknowledgement. Metro Arts stands and holds space on the unceded and sovereign lands of the Cherokee East, Yuchi, and Shawnee peoples who have stewarded it for generations. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in the hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. We acknowledge we are standing on ancestral lands, and we honor the thousands of enslaved African peoples whose lives were physically and spiritually stolen. We pay respects to elders, past and present. Metro Arts invites you to join in our commitment to knowing our Native communities in more meaningful ways in alignment with our restorative arts practice. Okay, with that, I will ask if there's anyone here for public comment or if any public comment was submitted prior to this meeting.
There are no public comments, and no public comments were submitted.
Thank you, Vivian. Okay, moving right along. I'm excited about Amanda Ewing, our featured artist today, and Chuck Beard will introduce. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. Amanda Ewing is a Nashville-based instrument maker, cultural preservationist, and researcher dedicated to uncovering the overlooked stories of Black craftspeople in American history. As one of only a few Black women luthiers practicing today, she embodies a rare and vital lineage, blending technical mastery in instrument making with a passion for cultural storytelling and legacy work. For Amanda, instruments are more than objects of sound. They are vessels of history, memory, and identity. Her research and advocacy highlight the ways Black craftspeople have shaped American material culture, often without recognition. Through building, teaching, and documenting, Amanda works to ensure these stories are not only remembered but celebrated, inspiring future generations to see craft as both heritage and possibility. Amanda was selected as a master artist for the 2026 Tennessee Craftmaster Artist Apprentice Program. And in it, she will extend her practice as a maker, mentor, and cultural steward, preserving instrument making as a living art form while uplifting the histories that have long been hidden. She also founded the organization Black and Luthier and is a FY26 Thrive Project Grant awardee. Please join us in giving a warm round of applause for Amanda Ewing.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to begin by simply sharing my story. A lot of people typically ask, how did you get into instrument making? So if that's in your mind, you're yes, then I will explain that. I used to work at Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center. Everybody familiar with Opryland Hotel? Oh, some people are not from here. It's okay. We had that conversation earlier. So I worked there for a very long time, 16 years, and it allowed me to do a lot of things, including go to school, including have children, make pretty good money. But I wasn't super interested in hospitality. Hospitality looks a lot different from the inside. So I was just thinking, well, it's a great space to be in. It's a great place to learn. However, I envision myself moving on. So I don't know if anyone was here for 2010 flood. After the 2010 flood, there was a shakeup at Gaylord Opryland, and Marriott bought the management rights there, and Marriott came in and started cleaning house. And so my house was one of the houses that they cleaned. I was very excited about that. It needed to be cleaned. That gave me a soft exit with a very nice and cushiony, what are those things called? There you go. We all know about that. Severance package. So I was able to hang out at home, watch a whole lot of Netflix, eat a whole lot of Fruit Loops and trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. So I was watching Tony Robbins' I Am Not Your Guru, and in that he asked the question, what does an extraordinary life look like to you? And so I pressed pause, and I was like, Amanda, what does an extraordinary life look like for me? And so I didn't have a particular answer to the what, but I knew how I wanted to feel about life. I knew how an extraordinary life could potentially feel for me. So I started writing all those things down, getting back into playing violin, traveling, eating a whole lot of really good food, dancing because I loved all that. So I found a community orchestra here. It's called Cremona Strings. And so I decided to play with them. I loved it because it was serious, but not too super serious where you would start judging where you were and not want to finish. So I joined with them, and in that program was a luthier. And so I had never heard the term before, luthier, and I had never really thought about where violins came from outside of the violin shop. I just like, oh, they're shiny. They just appeared here. Somebody said, I need a violin, and they just fall from the sky. And so to find out that people were hand-making instruments, I thought it was incredible. So I had a student instrument, and I didn't like it. It was one that I could afford at that time. So it was about $600. So it didn't sound great. And I thought, well, if I'm going to start this new journey in my extraordinary life, I need an extraordinary instrument. So maybe I can have this person make an instrument for me. So we started chit-chatting about it. And that led to me observing what making a violin looked like. And I thought, well, I'm unemployed, so yeah, I can come out there and watch and see you make this violin. And I thought it was incredible, and I had a lot of questions, and I wanted to touch tools and touch wood. And so he was saying, well, maybe you can make a violin next to me then. I was like, okay, I can come out here and do that. Unemployed. I got plenty of time. Yes, 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 yes. My year of yes. So I started down the path of making it. I didn't have any expectation. This was not something I was choosing. I just thought it was very fascinating. And so I thought, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can make these instruments, or I can try to make the instrument. And so about 3 months into it, someone wanted to interview me about violin making. And I'm like, wow, wait, whoa, well, why do you want to interview me about violin making? I'm here, I'm observing, I'm playing a part, I'm really crafting. I don't consider myself any type of maker. I'm just enjoying life. And so I spoke with the woman, and she told me, well, I play the instrument. I've been playing the instrument for a very long time, and I just haven't heard of very many Black women making instruments. And I thought, well, let me talk to Google, because Google and I, we have a good relationship, and I'll just Google it. And I started Googling, and I was getting pictures of Black violins, like actual Black violins. And I was thinking, this is just weird that I'm not finding any makers of color, yes, but not any Black makers. So I thought about it for a while. We had the interview. I was thinking about the questions she was asking. I really wasn't prepared for those questions because I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't really gone into it thinking about Black makers. I just thought about it, me pursuing my most extraordinary life, me. And so after that interview, I sat with it for a little bit, and I thought, well, this sounds like an opportunity to make some impact, because why aren't there many violin makers out there who are Black? Like, why? What's the big question is why? And so there's a lot of answers to that. Accessibility is expensive. FAFSA doesn't cover it. In this age and time, people are trying to make instruments and sell their own instruments. They may not have time to invest in someone else. They may not want to. It may be an industry that's kept. But I thought, well, I want to change that. I want to change it. I want for, specifically when I was looking at, I know I'm probably going on for 5 minutes, but I'm going to wrap it up. Really quick. I was looking at things online, Violin Society of America, and I just wasn't seeing any people like me represented. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to learn everything that I know so I can teach everything that I know. And in the next 20 years, there's going to be a lot of Black makers out there in the world of instrument making, because I know we have had a significant part of making instruments in our history, not only in the Americas, not only in the American South, but also in Africa. So I know that there are other Black makers out there. They have been, but they're just unsung. We know that their hands have been in this process, but we don't know their names. So a part of what I'm doing also is just researching Black makers, trying to find old instruments, old instrument owners. Instruments have been in families for a very long time, and tracing that back, going through archives, which is a lot lot of fun just talking to people, trying to figure out who are these makers. They don't have to be known, but I know that they're out there. And so I have a research component of what I do, also a making component when I do it. And I'm having a lot of fun. I think it's going to be very impactful, the world of instrument making. And I have been selected, I believe. I always say that violin making, I didn't choose it, it chose me. I never even thought about it. Luthier, people can't even say the word luthier or lutherie. Like, I never even thought about it. No judgment, Chuck back there, but I never even thought about it as well. And I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm welcoming that opportunity and the challenge to be able to educate the future of instrument makers in the American South and in the world. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Do I have any questions? Yeah.
So when you learned, you mentioned like the challenge in terms of accessibility to training and things like that.
Yeah.
So how does it usually happen that people learn how to become a luthier? It seems like you learned it through kind of apprenticeship models, things like that. Is that correct? Is that what you envision for the future?
Historically, it is one-on-one, or a maker will take on a number of apprentices. I believe in the past the reason why they did that is because they didn't have modern tools back then, so they actually needed people to help them make these instruments, to make a number of them. And through that process, they began to learn, and then they eventually became instrument makers. Today, there's the Violin Making School of Chicago. There's a lot of, maybe a handful, more than a handful. There's probably 5 in the U.S. and maybe 10 or 15, maybe even 20 worldwide, but they can be as much as like $35,000 a year, and that's coming out of your own pocket. Or I don't even think that there are very many programs in these schools that will help with tuition. So if you decide to do that in a school, you're going to be paying for it. Now I'm seeing luthiers go around and hold workshops. I've been to a week-long workshop in the U.S., and what I want to do is have a school of lutherie here in the United States, for sure. I think it's very valuable for future makers to learn different processes from other makers. I think that's very valuable. I didn't have that early on, so I'm seeking that now. And also have a program where that's either no cost or very low cost. And also for adults, too. I mean, kids don't know what they really want to do. But if you're a full-time adult and you've got a full-time life, who can take off 2 weeks to go educate yourself at a violin workshop? I mean, I did it, and I was like, well, it was a lot. It was a lot to do. So having weekend programs, having things that happen in the summer, having things that happen in off time. So these individuals who really want education and to really want to become a luthier can do so. You're welcome. Any other questions? Instagram is my boo thing. So I just share my story on Instagram. Thank you for asking that question. You can follow my journey, the Lutherie Lounge, on Instagram. But all of my commissions have come through Instagram. But now, because I have a commission, my violin was played this year at the Grand Ole Opry for the first time. I know. This is what my daughter taught me. This is what you do. And so the woman's name is Ann Harris, and she is a fantastic folk Americana violinist. And so I'm starting to get more emails. But typically people learn about me through social media, and they'll reach out from social media. Yes, ma'am.
How long will it take for somebody? Well, of course, people learn differently, but how long did it take you to create and have your violin done or learn?
To learn. Yeah, it's a long game. It's a marathon. So some schools have them 4 years. My apprenticeship was almost 5 years. And so some people are different. It just really depends on where you are in your life, because it's not only instrument making. It's learning how to use hand tools. It's learning how to use power tools. It's learning how to break down wood. It's learning wood composition. So there's a lot of different disciplines in one discipline, which is violin making. I think that most makers will say you're about as good as you can get by about 25 years. And then if you like to make, I love making all types of instruments, so wood string instruments. So if you continue to challenge yourself to make different types of instruments, it's a lifelong learning journey for sure.
And will you remind us again, where was the initial meeting of your initial apprentice? Like, how did you two come into contact?
I went to Cremona Strings. Cremona Strings is a non-profit strings organization founded by Bob Holmes. I believe Bob Holmes also started W.O. Smith Music School. I believe that's that connection. And so the woman who extended it, she was friends with Bob Holmes. Don't quote me.
Can you spell that? Sorry.
Which one? Cremona.
Cremona.
Cremona, like the city in Italy. Cremona Strings, Strings. And so it was there. I went for my first session, and I started talking to people in that session, and they had some beautiful instruments, and the woman was like, well, this instrument was made by somebody here. And I was like, what? And I was just thinking, what is she talking about? And we kept talking, and this particular maker, who's unknown, his name is Ray DeMayo, but he's unknown. He made that instrument and a couple more instruments there. And so I thought, I'm just going to talk to him. And so when he came in, I did talk to him, and we started just talking about instrument making, and I thought it was super fascinating. And so he invited me to his shop, and we continued to talk, and I was like, yeah, I could do that. Not like making, not like cocky, like, yeah, I could do that. Anybody can. But just diving into the process. I'm a process person. I love processes. So diving into that and seeing blocks of wood that look like they could be firewood turn into an instrument is incredible. I'm like, this is an instrument? Like these little strips and that block and that's a violin. He's like, yeah, this is a violin, and this is a cello. And it's a wonderful vision. It's a wonderful thing to see what the human hands can do. Any other questions? Oh, there's another. Yeah.
Thank you. I had the same question about where we could find you, and thank you so much. And this is really inspirational for me, your journey and everything else. And yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. And
thank you very much.
Look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving into, thank you again, Amanda. That was great. Moving into item D, approval of minutes from October 23rd, 2025.
I move we approve the minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Knight.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Harden. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Excellent. Minutes are approved. Okay, action and discussion items. First up is Public Art Committee. We had our public art meeting yesterday, and we do have one action item today to bring to you all. And Ms. Sonia, are you presenting on behalf of the team for Attilio has been out sick, so let's wish him well. And we did have an excellent public art meeting yesterday, and we do have one action item to bring to you today. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Masanya Osei. I'm with the Office of Public Art. As Chair West has said, I'll be presenting on behalf of Attilio, and we do wish him a full recovery. And so we are coming to you with a request. We are getting ready to start our Project 2 in the NICE campus. We've already selected our artist for the Project 1, William Massey, and so this will be for the Nashville Youth Campus for Empowerment, NICE. And it's going to be the Empowerment Collection Public Art Project, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And so the Empowerment Collection will be a permanent collection of unique, site-specific wall-hung artworks complementing the Davidson County Juvenile Court's vision, values, and mission. And just as a reminder, the Davidson County, the Juvenile Court, will now be considered the NICE campus. And so the location is going to be installed again at the NICE campus on the first and second floors. It's going to be throughout those main corridors, the waiting rooms, the gathering spaces, also their cafeteria. It's assuring the public will interact with the artwork daily. And the chosen spaces take full advantage of the abundant natural light, open layouts, and visitor accessibility. So recruitment for this is going to be a local call. It's a request for design proposals. We call that a RFP, and it's going to be open to artists, consider professional artists as defined by our guidelines. In the geographic area, artists must be residents of Davidson County or the surrounding counties here. It's going to be Wilson, Rutherford, Williamson, Cheatham, Robertson, and Sumner County. The budget for this project is $100,000, and this will be up to 20 artists selected. The site work budget will not exceed beyond $70,000, and we, Metro Arts, we will be responsible for the mounting, the placement, the museum quality, framing, and installation of these artworks. And so the next slides are just going to kind of show you what the layout and the corridors are going to be. So we have the cafeteria on the right side, and then we have a rendering of one of these are the waiting rooms. And then the following other slide is showing us a little bit of the first and the second floor. So throughout these corridors and these floors, we will make sure that these artworks are carefully curated so that they align with what these floors and who these the audience who they serve. All right, so our recommendation is the Public Art Committee recommends approval of the NICE's request for proposal, the Empowerment Collection wall-mounted artwork with a total commission budget of $100,000 and $70,000 not to exceed that for project site work associated costs. All right, next slide. Thank you. All right, do we have any general questions or discussion?
I can take a motion before we discuss.
I move that we approve the NICE request for proposal, the Empowerment Collection wall-mounted artwork with a, don't have my glasses, total commission budget of $100,000 and $70,000 not to exceed for project site work associated costs. Sorry, did not have my glasses.
Thank you, Commissioner Lefkowitz. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, open for discussion and questions.
I just have a quick question. I'm excited about this. By doing an RFP, when artists submit, are they able to submit works that are like available for sale? And then, I guess do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. So they can only submit, they can submit their portfolio, they can submit samples of their work, but Attilio is requiring only one submission. So you get one shot, right? Throughout January, and I don't think we put it, but the next several months between January and March will be 4 engagements for the interested applicants to attend. They must attend at least one. So just to get the full scope of what the project will be. And that will also be in conjunction with the juvenile staff. So one submission.
How are you all defining a professional artist?
It is in our guidelines, and of course, you must be 18 years or older, at least, I believe, 2 years of commission works. You cannot be, I don't think we're doing an artist team this time. There is ongoing discussion about photographers, you know, how the request would kind of align with what they would need to submit. As we know, photographers, it's not necessarily one shot. You know, there's a number of shots, and then you have to kind of review those to, you know, make sure that you want the best one for the project. But yeah, it's defined in our guidelines, and all of these specifications we will provide in the call. So yeah, it'll be outlined for the applicants.
And Ms. Sonia and Commissioner Cole, so we're tying this to the professional artist definition in our public art guidelines. Mm-hmm. So we have a direct line between the two. So that's an artist of at least 18 years of age that has 2 years of visual art exhibition history, 2 years of at least 2 years of commissioned visual art or public art, and those works cannot be part of an artist undergraduate work. So we're looking for that. That's the actual definition of professional artists that we work with within public arts. That ties back to this, and these will be commissioned works and up to 20. And they'll be trauma informed, as we've all discussed. Absolutely. This ties into the NYCE overall plan. And one floor. I think the first floor is more family, and second is more for juvenile justice. I think so. It'll be curated to the floors to meet the needs of the people that are being served.
Absolutely.
Commissioner, you?
Just to clarify, so the artwork is going to be permanent, right?
It is. It will be part of our collection.
The $70,000, that's for the framing and hanging and all that? What's the $70,000?
Yes, so it is not to exceed that, but the $70,000 will be for professional hanging, mounting. We will be working with our local vendors. We've been worked in numerous of projects. They're going to do the art of Nashville, and then also we have woodcuts that will be doing our customized framing. So yeah, the artists that will. It's not something they have to be responsible for.
I'm just curious about the one submission. I guess I'm just wondering because in the past I think you all have done like site visits with artists and gone to their studio and kind of figured something out. But why is it? Yeah, I'm just curious to know why you all for this round are just doing one submission.
So it'll be one submission for the proposal. And for the duration of the time, Attilio, myself, and Leslie, we'll kind of take turns doing the site visits as best as we can. This is why we're saying up to 20 artworks, but I think Attilio is he's been very, very diligent about how to kind of plan that out. And we've definitely been in discussion about that, like how are we kind of like tracking and monitoring the progress. But yeah, only one proposal will be accepted from that, yeah.
So in the RFP, are we requesting like 3 samples of artwork to see what they do, and but then if they're chosen, we're commissioning a piece, or are they only submitting like one example of artwork?
That's right. So in submittable, in their application, they will have an opportunity to submit like previous samples of their work, and then also their resume/portfolio, and then with you attending the number of engagements that you need to attend, we will then have them only present one proposal to us. So we'll factor in all those technical, the criteria and all of that, and yeah, but only one proposal.
Thank you. Does that answer your question? Awesome. Yeah, I'm curious too. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Then we can take a vote. Macy, do I need to read the call for motion again, or yeah, okay. Motion to approve the NYCE's request for proposal for the empowerment collection wall-mounted artwork with a total commission budget of $100,000 and $70,000 not to exceed for project site work associated costs. So it has been Commissioner Knight or Commissioner Harden. Lefkowitz. Okay, and then you seconded. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Fantastic. Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, and give Attilio our best and well wishes for healing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Could I ask one quick question
Sure thing.
about public art?
Sure thing.
Lasagna, I'm going to ask about, I just was going to ask about, thank you for these updates, by the way, on the different projects. I love that. And the Bordeaux Gateway, we're still working on that in terms of thinking about another possible increase in the budget, perhaps? Or
Absolutely. So for full transparency, we were nowhere even near that. While it is an active project, we're still ongoing with these conversations about, what can we do, the overall scope with our transportation partner, NDOT and TDOT. And so it's going to take a while for us to even get to that point because we need to see exactly what we can work with that $300,000 budget. And as you know, we don't intend to even take up that entire space. So that's where we're at right now. We're just trying to see what our parameters are. But I would like to have something additional down the pipeline. But first, we kind of need to start with what we have right now. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Sonia. Thank you, Commissioner Lefkowitz. Yeah, you'll see inside your packet, there's an update of November for PAC. As I said, we had our meeting yesterday. Arthur Avenue Underpass, and Leslie, that is coming along, and we are looking at, I believe, work being done in January and moving into next year for dedication. Strobel House is moving forward Old Hickory Community Center, that will begin, don't quote me on this, but I think it's the first 2 weeks of December, and the dedication will be in January. So I think that's right. We just discussed Bordeaux Gateway. Everybody knows that's a participatory budgeting project. NYCE, both Project 1 and Project 2, and collections management, and Leslie has her hands very full with all of those things. So I want to thank the team. Thank you. If no more questions, we will move into Grants and Funding Committee. And it looks like we have Commissioner Lefkowitz.
Yes, the Grants and Funding Committee was scheduled to meet, as we usually do, before this commission meeting on Monday, but we had to cancel that meeting because of scheduling challenges, and we have rescheduled for this coming Monday. So I don't have a formal update on the committee action because
December
we didn't
1st.
meet. Oh, sorry.
December.
Is that Monday? No, sorry. It's not Monday. My brain. December 1st. So that would be a week from Monday. That's great. Thank you, Vivian. So, Ashley, I know we do have an action item, and Ashley can provide a staff update on the grants. Because we weren't able to meet on Monday and the commission needs to approve this, we'd like to go ahead and bring an action item straight to commission and bypass our grants committee. So, Ashley, would you help me talk through this?
Yes, thank you. Be happy to. So the action item that we are bringing to you today is about our Community Arts Leaders of Nashville program, or CAL, or CALN. This, of course, is our internship program where Metro Arts brings on host sites, and we match undergraduate students in Tennessee with a local arts organization to receive paid work experience based on a job description that is submitted by the host site organization. And then we additionally match students with a mentor, which we use the professional artist definition that was referenced earlier as the eligibility requirement for those mentors. And so what I have on the slide here is just a little status update about each of those three different groups that come together for community arts leaders, host site students, and mentors. And what our action is going to be is accepting our recommendations for host site organizations. You approved the guidelines and criteria for this at the meeting that we had at Fort Negley over the summer. I think that was July. And so since then, we have been running these three different application periods. So for host sites, we had 15 organizations apply to serve as a host site. We accepted 8 organizations to be host sites. And we made those selections based on the criteria that were in those guidelines, based on the vision and the clarity and the detail provided in the job description, and how the organization saw the student participating in that work with the organization. And then we also tried to balance a variety of different types of work. So for example, is this like a marketing and communications position? Is it a programming position, a development position, like that, so that we could provide the students a variety of different options. So I will tell you who those host sites are in a moment. On the student element of this, we had 22 student applications, and we hosted interviews in this room on Monday of this week. So students were matched with interview opportunities with the 8 host sites, which was facilitated by Metro Arts staff. And we are still finalizing our matches for those. So I'll talk about that when I get to the recommendation for the motion. For the mentors, that deadline to apply is tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. And so applications are available on Submittable. This is a paid opportunity for mentors. I believe it is $450 that the mentors receive to meet with the students a couple times over the course of the spring semester. This is all to take place in the spring 2026 semester. You know, share their story, experiences, and wisdom and mentorship with the students that are matched with host sites. And so that's the general layout of what we've done since you've approved the guidelines here. And if you go to the next slide, like I said, we're bringing this straight to commissions. This is a staff recommendation since we did not have grants committee this week, but we are recommending the following organizations as host sites for the spring 2026 Community Arts Leaders of Nashville program, contingent on a successful student match outcome. And so, like I said, we are doing those interviews on Monday of this week, and there's great matches, but we're just making sure by the end of tomorrow, and this will all come together tomorrow, that everybody accepts the match, right? We obviously really want to make sure that the student is excited and accepts the placement, and that the host site is equally excited about the student as well. And so we collected that feedback through feedback forms from both students and host site representatives immediately following each interview, so that we had good information to facilitate those matches on. And so with that, these are the 8 host sites. I will read them out loud. WNXP, Nashville's Music Experience; Oz Arts; Nashville Repertory Theater; Nashville Jazz Workshop; Daybreak Arts; The Arts at Center Street; Youth Empowerment Through Arts and Humanities, or YA; and Turnip Green Creative Reuse. The handout that you have just additionally lists the internship role, like I said, those different categories that we applied for each type of job description. And then the total grant amount to the host site organization is $6,700. And so that provides the administrative support to the organization for hosting the student. That provides the pay that the students will be provided through the 14-week internship, as well as the $450 for the mentor. And there's additionally a stipend that students receive for transportation at the upfront at the beginning of the internship. And so that is where that number comes from. And these 8 host sites total $53,600. And so that is our staff recommendation. Happy to answer any questions. And Josiah is the staff member leading and managing this. And so if there are any questions that I can't answer, I'll ask him to come up as well, and thank him for all of his work. Lots of logistics through this matching process.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Looks like a really great program. I was just curious about the other 5 host sites that weren't chosen, like what orgs those were.
I do not have the names of those organizations on me. I could follow up, or I could look them up if you want to know the names of them. But one of them, I believe, did not meet the eligibility criteria, so it was not an arts organization. I can talk about the reasons for the denials. It is really about not really having like a clear role that was proposed for the student. And yeah, so I can follow up with you if you want the names of them. But we knew that there were going to be more applications than sites that we could have.
I have a question. You mentioned that the interns are going to be receiving like stipends or some kind of payment. Does the organization will choose the amount, or do all of them are going to receive the same amount?
All the students receive the same amount over the course of the internship, and so it is roughly 10 to 12 hours of work a week. So this is part-time, of course. These are full-time students. It's approximately $26 an hour is what that comes out to, and it's over the course of a 14-week period. So I believe that number is $37.50 that the students, okay, Josiah's nodding yes. So at the end of the semester, the students should receive $3,750 in total compensation. And we provide the funding to the host site at the beginning of the contract, and the host site adds the student on their payroll. And so that's how so it's not Metro Arts paying the student directly. And we encourage the host sites to put students on as a W-2 part-time employee.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Harden and then Commissioner Greer.
On one of the slides, it said there were 2 alternative. Is it possible that students might end up at one of those sites?
So we do not plan to go to the waitlist organizations right now.
I'm curious about the pool of students who applied. It was 22. If there's not successful matches, maybe they weren't a strong applicant, would you consider extending the application period so there's more time to search for applicants?
So we don't plan to extend it right now, and we had a lot of great students. And the way that we did the matching was really based on, mutual, strong enthusiasm on both sides. And so we saw some things like I was really looking for a marketing position, and this is just not what that organization has to offer. And so those are some of the things that helped us make the matching. And then we also prioritized students who received Pell Grants. That was in the guidelines, and the way that one way that we did that was using the scoring criteria, but then providing multiple interview options to those Pell Grant students who scored high on the application, so that they would have multiple interview opportunities instead of just the one opportunity to interview with different organizations. But right now, we decided to keep it just at the 8 host sites based on what we think we can provide capacity-wise this semester. And we'll also plan a few professional development opportunities that Metro Arts plans that we will engage other partner organizations. So maybe some of the organizations that applied to be a host site but did not, were not selected, could provide a workshop of some sort. We did that last year, for example, with an organization that did not get matched with a student.
Okay, seeing no other questions or discussion, I can take a call for a motion. I can take a motion.
I move we approve the following organizations as host sites for the Spring 2026 Community Arts Leaders of Nashville program, contingent on a successful student match outcome: WNXP Nashville's Music Experience, Oz Arts Inc., Nashville Repertory Theater, Nashville Jazz Workshop, Daybreak Arts, The Arts at Center Street, Youth Empowerment through Arts and Humanities, and Turnip Green Creative Reuse.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Lefkowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much. The motion passes. And thank you, Josiah. I know this is a lot of coordination and all the things, so thank you. This is a great program that continues on, and really appreciate it.
And I like to tell you all the next steps that happen after the motions as well. And so Josiah has just, like I said, been working to confirm that everybody is excited and happy with the match that we've made. And then we'll ask for a formal acceptance form that they provide to us. This is all insubmittable. And then this is a grant contract. And so once we have finalized the contract, it will go to the host sites organizations, and then we will make sure that they get those funds prior to the start of the program next year. And so we'll provide periodic updates in the grants committee meeting about how the semester goes over the semester. So I added another just brief, I think if you go to the next slide, yeah, this is just what I wanted to share for a very brief status update on our grant cycle for general operating and Thrive grants, since we did not get to, I did not get to share this update in the grants committee meeting this week. I usually share a much more thorough update, but these are the main things that I wanted to bring to update you all, as well as members of the public who are our grantees. And so as of the 18th, I put these slides together on Tuesday. We had all operating and Thrive grantees accept their awards, and we have been working on executing those contracts. Contracts go to each grantee for 2 signatures representing those organizations, and then they move through Metro to collect, I believe it is 5 additional signatures after that. And so we have fully executed 152 of the 165 contracts. I believe that's actually up to 155 as of this morning. There's just 10 outstanding contracts that are still with the grantee for signature, and so we're doing follow-up there in case people have questions about the content of the contract. Once I receive a fully executed contract and it is filed with the clerk's office, that's when I can submit for the payment to be dispersed. So we've had 123 grants paid, with the first payment that went out on November the 4th. And so from September 25th through, that was when the commission approved grants, through November 4th, it was 100 payments that went out on that first date. And so that's about 5.5 weeks. And I think that's a pretty good, I'm calling our team's work really, really great on getting this volume out. And our goal had always been payment before the holidays begin. And so we have reached that here. And so for the remaining ones, we're just troubleshooting as needed if it's collecting the contracts or resolving any vendor issues. I think everyone is aware, but if you are not, all of the payments go through the central finance department, through the vendor system, requires, a whole process that happens in other departments. And so big shout out to Capri, our finance administrator, as well, for really using the relationships that we have with the iSupplier team and the finance team to make this process smooth and quick. So and then just on the grantee communication side, they get a message from me letting people know when the payment request has been made, and that's when we also share the executed contract with them. And then they get another message from me when the payment shows as paid. So that is the extent of the grants update that I brought in lieu of a longer update with the committee this week. But if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I'll just say, too, that this happened without a grants manager and down one staff member because of Claudia's departure. So thank you to our staff so much. It's just, I'm so happy that we met this goal thanks to their work, your work. And I would also say, too, since I'll take this chance since the grants meeting is postponed, but we do have an excellent parking lot started document, and we're going to start talking about next things. So if you have ideas or things that have come up, things that you want to be a part of that discussion in terms of looking at guidelines and thinking about next year, please send them to Ashley, and we will add them in. But we have a really good comprehensive list based on our meetings. So thank you, Ashley, for creating that.
Thank you, Commissioner Lefkowitz, for guiding this committee. And again, I want to say thank you to Ashley and the staff. 5.5 weeks with everything. That's the fastest turnaround I think we've had with Metro Arts. So big thank you. And like you said, to the other departments that are supporting us, and to you, Ashley. Thank you. Any other? Oh,
Oh yes, I forgot. I put in a couple pictures. You were there. You can share.
When was it? It was your birthday, November the 12th. Was that right? Which was also Interim Director Batchelder's birthday, I'll say. But we had a Thrive reunion at the Parthenon, and it was super fun. I felt like it was a wonderful turnout, and performances, Thrive artists. There was just lots of conversation happening, I could see. So I thought it was a wonderful event, and I'm excited to see more of those happen. I think, it was really well received. So thank you again to the staff for putting that together, and to the partners who helped us. We had partners who partnered with us on that event, and so thank you to them as well.
And all the other commissioners, several of y'all were able to come. Go ahead.
Yes, it was a really nice event, and I was trying to introduce myself a little bit because people, in my mind, I thought, well, they need to know who is behind scenes and talk to them about a little bit of the process and how much pressure sometimes as commissioners we have. And I think it was a good thing that we show up there and just saying we're here to support you. And it's been, I trying to share what the staff also do because it's a lot of work, and not many of them know the behind scenes work. But it seems like everybody was super happy and sharing stories, and I talked to them and they were excited about knowing that some of the commissioners were there, and they were, oh, well, thank you. And I think in my mind it's a good thing to show to the public, and especially for the grantees, what the Metro Arts Commission is doing, because they feel more, I don't know, they feel important. They feel that they are part of the community, and they were recognized for their work, as well as, I think the Metro Arts Commission was recognized too by the public. And thank you. It was a great event.
Again, team effort. Thank you, Chuck, for the vision, and Darius, the logistics, and Masanya and Josiah were both there on site helping. And when you start naming people, you forget people. So, thank you to everyone. And we heard feedback that operating grantees want to have a reunion too. And so we'll be sharing some ideas in grants committee for more similar things in the new year.
Thank you. Let's see, where are we? Oh, we're on executive committee. Actually, thanks again to Chuck and to everyone that put it together for the Thrive reunion and all the events that have been going on, all the coffee talks, all the things that y'all are all doing. I think about just how much work that goes into it, and the gratitude I have for all of you, and just I turn around and something else is going on. So thank you. Into executive committee, we met last week and reviewed the bylaws. We had planned to bring the bylaws to you all today for a vote. However, we need 2/3 of our body present to vote, which would mean 8 commissioners. So today we will not be taking that vote. However, we will be, Ashley will be walking us through with me the suggested changes. But the executive committee has been working on this for several months. This isn't the first y'all have heard about it, but just wanted to let you know we would not be taking the action today. We can push that to hopefully next month when we have a 2/3 of a quorum. 8. So for bylaws, it's 2/3. So that is our number there, and then 6 of the membership. Our membership is 11. So 8 is needed for that, for a bylaw change. And but for basic quorum and action items, it's 6.
So what we provided in your packet is 2 Well, what we provide in your electronic packet on email is 2 versions of the bylaws. One is a clean version, and one shows all of the red line track changes. It's the same information, but just based on your preference for if you want to see the marked up suggestions or if you want to see the clean version. What we printed is just the red line marked up copy here, and what I thought that I could do, even though we will not take a vote today, is just go through to highlight what those recommended changes are for you, and happy to answer any questions, either myself or other committee members. We've been discussing the bylaws since our May meeting, I think, is when we first looked at them, and we were quite overdue for updating the bylaws at that point when we started, and so this is a process that we took an opportunity to take a good look and use several different meetings to discuss the changes here. And so the red line version that you have, you'll see a few different things, if it's the red lines or the blue lines. Things that I have marked up but are not highlighted are really just non-substantive or non-material changes. It's changing words from like city council to metro council, or maybe adding the reference to the specific section of the code, fixing typos, making language more clear. But if it's not highlighted, it is not changing a substantive element of the bylaws. So I'm just going to flip through the pages that we have here and tell you what each highlighted section is. And so there's none of that on the first page. When we go to the second page, we've included reference to Metro Arts Authority to review, accept, maintain donated artworks as established in the code. And so that was just a key power and duty that had been not represented in our bylaws, so we just added that there. Also on page 2, we've clarified and more accurately added language that the role of the commission is to employ an executive director to execute the affairs of the commission, instead of having broad language about employing personnel. And then we've clarified in the language in the paragraphs that follow that the executive director shall employ the other employees of the department who are civil service employees, whereas the director is not. And so that was just important clarity about the role of who the commission actually hires. The executive director is your employee, but other employees are not your employee. And then on that same page in section C, I added that the executive director shall serve as an ex officio member of the Nashville Music, Film, and Entertainment Commission, as stated in the code of that commission's Metro Code. That is, it's what it says. If you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer it. But the executive director was named as a member when that commission was stood up a couple of years ago now. At the bottom of page 2, terms of office, we are recommending that commissioners shall be able to serve one additional term than what it is right now. So right now, the term limit is 2 terms. We are recommending a change to 3 terms. On the next page, the section about section 4 titled Removal and Resignation. What I've added here is language about chronic absences that can trigger a process for removal from the commission. This definition was passed in an ordinance, I believe, over a year ago at this point, but it applies to all boards and commissions, so it is not specific to us. But it's important to reference this in our bylaws so that we all have clarity on the formal and now standardized attendance expectations for all boards and commissions. So what that is over a 1-year period, if a commissioner is absent for 2/3 of full commission meetings, the commissioner may be or shall be considered to have excessive absences. And then it describes a process for consideration of removing that commissioner. toward the bottom of that page. Just going to continue to move along. Officers of the Commission. Section 2, subsection A, we have added that the chair shall serve as an ex officio member of all committees and task forces. That just allows the chair to be part of any conversations that might be happening on a committee that the chair is not a member of. It does not require them to be at every commission meeting, but it allows them to participate if they so choose. On page 4, about the secretary, what this change is proposing says that the secretary shall certify the minutes of full commission meetings. The secretary shall sign and date full commission minutes upon affirmative approval by the commission. This just helps in our record keeping. It's a practice that Metro Arts used to have that seemed to be stopped several years ago, but we are recommending bringing this practice back. The next change is in the standing committees section. And so on the top of page 5, we are recommending the removal of the care committee as a standing committee of the commission. What I've also included in your packet is a communication that was sent to care members a couple of weeks ago that detail a little bit of the rationale behind that. We've discussed this over several meetings in the executive committee meeting, and we might have discussed it in full commission meetings as well. But the care committee has not had a meeting since September of 2024 and has been in a bit of a stuck position due to some structural reasons, as well as lacking a little bit of a operationalized scope of authority and role in the commission. And so there's more information in the letter that you have, which was sent and communicated with all the care members, like I said, a couple of weeks ago. But that's where we are recommending the removal of care as a standing committee. That's the only suggested recommendation on page 5. On page 6, no substantive changes there. It's really just updates to the language. On page 7, this just updates. I've highlighted our change in quorum. This is, of course, because our commission used to be 15 members. It is only 11 members right now, and so our quorum is therefore 6 members. If we go to page 8, I have added a couple of sections or a couple of highlighted reference points on page 8 under section 2, conduct of commission meetings. One is just explicitly adding that the duty of every commissioner is to vote on motions that come before you, and that abstentions are disfavored unless it is in the case of a conflict of interest. And then we add a section 3 as highlighted about conflicts of interest. And so referencing the section of the Metro Code that comes from that and explicitly stating in our bylaws that commissioners shall not participate in any decisions or actions where there is a conflict of interest present. And that language comes from the code and other language that we have received in the past. And then just on page 9, what I have highlighted would be the date that we update these bylaws. And so, like I said, we will not take a vote on this today because we do require a 2/3 vote of the membership, which we do not have present now. But if you have any questions about any of the recommendations that the committee is bringing forward, or if there are other committee members who want to say anything additionally, we can have some of that discussion now, but this will be on the agenda when we meet again in December.
Can I ask a question about just something on page 1, which is about the awarding of funds? And at one point we had talked about, because has always just kind of said nonprofit and civic and charitable organizations. I believe at one point during this whole long process of several years, we talked about adding individual artists to that, but because of the payment or procurement issue, right? This is just strictly talking about awarding funds. So I guess what I'm saying is this a nod to the fiscal sponsorship kind of aspect? Do you know what I'm saying? In terms of it saying, shall award funds to nonprofit, civic, and charitable organizations, and so not to individuals.
Yeah, so this aligns with our powers and duties that are in the code, which is specifically about civic and charitable organizations. And so that's where that language comes from.
This is like very nitpicky, but I always think of this like in the public art lens of like, that is also the purpose of the Arts Commission, is that we're responsible for that as well, in which we do pay individual artists. So it's not like
It's not exclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
So given that, one read could be that the award funds clause at the beginning, it is separated out from public art, which leads one to imply that award funds is about the granting function, because it references the code there, and so public art is not included in that section of the code 2.1112, whereas in public art, with the references to chapter 5 of the code, funding for public art projects, but we could, I can just flag
Ashley,
this.
I was just going to say that funding for public art is different than awarding funds to an individual for a grant. So it's kind of like it's two different things. We're talking about an art installation on Metro property is different than giving an individual money.
Right. So we have it separated in those two sections, but if award funds is not clear to the reader that we're referencing grants to organizations, we could maybe amend that language to say award grant funds.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I think because, I mean, what we are doing now is awarding funds to these charitable organizations as either as operating grants or in a fiscal sponsorship manner, whatever. So I think that doesn't seem like a problem. I know I've always wondered about it, right? In terms, it's always been kind of like, So I think it's fine. I just wanted to talk it through.
And I think if you were going to make an amendment, instead of the title, it should just be right before funds. So have it say Metro Arts shall award grant funds to nonprofit, and then that ensures clarity of the type of funds.
Macy, looking at, let's see, because Chapter 5.10, that's referring to the ordinance. So, right, so we have a 1% public for the bonds. So the 5.10 requiring 1% of bond proceeds to be dedicated to public art is not specifically detailed in the bylaws, but the 5.10 refers to that, right? So we're covered on protections of public art funds.
Yeah, like that's in the Metro Code,
Right.
and so yeah, I think we're good there.
Thank you so much.
And if there are other things that, if you take this home and read it through, in executive committee, we've said, is this sentence, is every word in this sentence the correct word, right? So if you notice anything else, that's what, we've got time to make those suggestions. So feel free to contact me if you notice anything.
Thank you, Ashley, for running us through everything. And if we do have a 2/3 majority in December, then we'll bring this back to you all for a vote. All right. Moving.
I'll I'll just add, if we do, and I hope we do, and so we can talk about this maybe at the end, but I really want to try to get these approved by the end of the year, and I know December meetings get hard. More people have scheduling things, and there's just a lot more, people get sick at the end of the year as well, and so Vivian might, and we could do it here when everyone is at the table, but we might look at a couple of dates for that meeting, knowing that we'd really like to get this acted on by the end of the year.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, moving into, where are we? Chair's report. Oh, my chair's report is just full of gratitude. A lot of gratitude for all of you all, for the staff that's doing a remarkable job as we go into Thanksgiving week. I've really just been thinking so much about, just gratitude. And I want to thank every single one of you. This is a volunteer job, and I just am so grateful, and I'm so grateful to the staff and Director Batchelder. Let's see, is Chair's report, am I doing committees as well? I got slides. Oh, yeah, thank you. I love slides. Okay, so as you all know, committee assignments are ready to go, and I know most of you have been spoken to about where we are. Moving from a commission of 15 down to 11 as our final number. We are trying really hard to not overload you all with too many committees. So currently, these are our standing committees. Executive committee, which is, and you have this, Ashley has printed this out for you guys. Never mind, this is just mine. This is my notes, these are my notes. All right then, I think I wrote these, so I should know them. Executive committee, this is required by bylaws, so I will remain as chair. Commissioner Harden will remain as vice chair. Commissioner Lefkowitz will remain as secretary, and Commissioner Knight will remain as our fourth. As you all know, there's a spot for the immediate past chair, but over the past several years, for several cycles, we have not had an immediate past chair. So that's where we sit there. Public art currently is Campbell with me as chair, Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Khalil. Grants and funding, Commissioner Lefkowitz has kindly agreed to chair again. Commissioner Jester, Commissioner Wade, and Commissioner Knight. And then advocacy and engagement, Commissioner Cole is chair, Commissioner Greer has agreed, and Commissioner Yu. And then for nominating, as you all know, that meets twice, so August and September of 26, and that will be Commissioner Jester chairing, Commissioner Harden, and Commissioner Cole. So if anyone has questions about those or you want to discuss, we can do that now, and you can also reach directly out to Ashley. Anybody have any questions or thoughts?
I'm curious, I know advocacy and engagement is restarting. Are there already guidelines around how it works, or would that need to be created?
Good question. I just wrote a note for myself that said meeting schedule. So one thing that I think that we'll be doing also is assessing the time and meeting schedule for each committee in the next committee meeting. So yes, advocacy and engagement has not had a meeting in 2 years. And so the first probably part of that will be the committee kind of scoping out what is possible, what makes sense, and we'll have some supporting documents to help with that discussion, and it will receive staff support, of course. And so I'll be getting with Commissioner Cole about the scheduling for that beginning in January. And I envision that this committee may have, for example, maybe like a joint committee meeting with the grants, maybe once or twice a year. We had that conversation that we had at last commission meeting. There's a lot of, overlap there. And so, creating that synergy where it makes sense to. But that'll be part of our first meeting when we come together.
Yeah, I think it's kind of redefining what it is and looking at the scope, like you said, not replacing CARE, but moving forward with the work of engagement and advocacy. And then, as we all know, we are working towards increased funding. So that will be a part during budget season. And well, honestly, it is our job year-round to advocate for increased funding. So that is a big piece of that. While we are here on committee meetings, Vivian, maybe this is a good time. I know that we touched on this in September, and I just want to discuss, so we had our commission meetings on the fourth Thursday of every month. We had moved those up to or was it third Thursday? It was third Thursday, then we moved them to fourth Thursday. And Macy and Kelly, I remember y'all, we kind of talked about this a little bit. So as far as time of day and the actual day, I wanted to get a feel from everyone on if third Thursday, which I think the reason why we moved was because of me, wasn't it?
Well, why I want to move back.
And why you want to move back. So,
So, I think through conversation, asked if we could maybe consider moving to the third week to have our commission meeting. And there's two reasons why. Our commission meeting current time conflicts with the monthly department head meeting, and so the arts director will never be able to attend one of those meetings, and I think that's very important. And additionally, if we have action items that are coming from being approved in commission that then need to go to council, we will always be missing the filing deadline by having our commission meetings on the fourth week of the month. And so for things that we're trying to quickly bring to council immediately after we receive approval here, it just creates like a wait time because of filing deadlines. And so my ask for you all is if it's possible to potentially move back to the third week of the month, and then we can adjust committee times if needed as well.
Question. Sorry. It will be at the same time? On the same day? Thursday? Okay.
and time of day, still would be meeting here at the same time unless we need to move it to the back end of the day for people that this does not accommodate their work schedule. So I just wanted to put that out there and get some feedback.
And I'll just add, we need to check with the ITS team, legal, of course.
Of course, Macy and Kelly. Mm-hmm. Those who are not here, Vivian, if you can reach out directly with what we decide today. I think we're definitely deciding to move it to third Thursday, if that works with everyone, and then we can work committees around that. But in terms of time of day, I wanted to check with legal, kind of where y'all said, and then with other commissioners just to make sure, because I think that some of you are having to take PTO and that kind of thing. So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page and giving you what you need.
I know that my teaching schedule changes in the spring semester, so I don't know if it would be more efficient to like do a doodle poll and everybody submit availability, or that might be the more effective way to go.
Great suggestion. Thank you.
I'm just curious, this is not the exact question you asked, but will the meetings moving forward always be here? I know it's kind of rotated a little.
Typically, we do like to meet here. Honestly, it just depends on the availability. There are not a lot of spaces within metro buildings that are big enough, and sometimes other departments get them before I can grab them. So it depends on the availability. I try to have a central spot especially for the commission meetings. I try to have like a central location. So this has been our central location for a while, but it just really depends on the availability.
That helped? Okay. Great.
Yeah, it was great. I would just say, I'll throw it in there. I think sometimes rotating is helpful because this is a little further out of the way for me per se, but totally understand also this is the best place for accessibility and space.
And not to like overspeak or speak too soon, but eventually we will move out of this building because we'll have to. We don't have a choice. So once we get down to that road of like where we'll be able to meet, more than likely it'll be a standard location of where we're going to be. That's my hope. So
I will just add, I do like meeting at Howard School Building. Just
second or third.
Agreed.
So does every other board and commission.
Yes. Yes, all agreed. All agreed.
right. Even if it's, I don't know about Metro Office Building, but there's some conference rooms in there, and they're not huge, but I know we used to do it in there. So I would, Yeah.
Those conference rooms on the second or third
Yeah,
floor.
yeah, we did have full commission meetings there, and it was, it was cozy. It was pre-COVID, but everyone was like around the table, and
my only dilemma with those rooms is we still have to have room for IT. And the last time that we did have a meeting out there, IT was in the hallway. That's the only way we were able to make it work. So
I have a question. This is in regards of meetings. Will we have this coming year another retreat, and in advance to know? Well, kind of. So then you can reserve the space.
The answer to that is yes. We're going to have a follow-up retreat to what we did in July. And as far as timing on that, I do not know. I would shoot for the spring. I'm thinking springish.
And I'm trying to find a location with windows so we can see outside.
Thank you, Vivi. Yeah, we did meet in Howard for a while. Now that we have an 11-person commission versus 15, maybe that will save some space too. So thank you. And then we can get committee dates up and running in January. So thank you all. So yeah, I think it's now due to poll. That's okay. And let's go ahead and move to third Thursday to allow for all the other pieces. And then if we can have a good firm by our next meeting so we can let everybody know and we can work together.
One other question. The December meeting.
Thank you.
Currently, right now, we're scheduled for the 18th. I've talked to a few people that won't be available for the 11th. Possibly, I don't know if this is too early, actually. Maybe the 4th. That's like the first Thursday of the month. I know it's important to get that vote that we needed. So I don't know if you are available, if you could just raise your hand. I guess look at your calendar first and just raise your hand, and then I'll talk to the others that are not present. Same time as today.
On the 4th is my last day of class, and I really have to be there for the whole class because it's the last day. So I would not be able to be here until like 12:45 on that day.
Okay.
So that is only the 4th, but any other time is fine.
We could look at a 1 o'clock start time if needed.
Okay.
So that's 2 weeks from today. So I just want to be able to check with the team if we have any other. I'm just trying to think if we're anticipating other action items. For grants, we won't. PAC, we won't. And that would be our meeting for December. So then we would be off until January. So we'll check with everyone who's not present for December 4th at 1 p.m.
Good.
I don't have my calendar with me, but I can text you as soon as I get back in my car.
Okay.
I would have to move some things around, but I could make it work. So.
Okay. Would 1 o'clock work better for you? That 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Legal.
Macy and Kelly.
The council meeting has been moved to the 4th.
But of course it has. Yeah.
As long as we're done by like a decent time.
It makes a long day for you, friend.
We could do Tuesday. Should we do the council?
Yes, that is.
Will this space be available?
Yeah.
This is
Well-
the 4th is a Thursday.
But I don't think this space is being used by elections for this election because it's typically blocked out for the entire month when it is.
Give me 1 second and I can double check on that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's booked. This
What
room
about
is
the
booked.
Howard building? Well, I mean, we can do all this logistics afterward, but we'll check on everyone else's schedule and try to confirm early next week because we'll have to put that notice out before the holiday next week.
Just to clarify, so but for now, temporarily is December the 4th at 1? Or, well, just to...
Yeah, very tentatively, we'll...
But that's Thursday.
Yes.
And there should only be one, more than likely, until you talk to staff, but probably one action item for that meeting, which would be the bylaws. So I wouldn't foresee a very long meeting. Thinking about for you guys, it's going to be a long one at council, and yeah. So tentatively, yes. And then Vivian, you want to let everybody know by early next week?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow? Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Yes. Yeah, we just need to shoot for the 2/3 of our membership, which should be a minimum of 8. So if anything comes up between now and then, if y'all could let Vivian know like immediately so we can regroup. All right, moving into our lovely interim executive director's report. Didn't mean to start.
I just have a few things to share. I always give hiring updates, and so very excited. We have somebody who's going to be joining our finance team as a finance officer. I'm excited, but the person who's more excited than me is Capri. So, we look forward to welcoming that person. We're just talking about start dates right now, but it has gone through all of the approval processes, and so that will just help every area of our work across the office to be adding more capacity on the finance team. Our grant manager and public art manager recruitments are ongoing, and so I'm not going to say too much about them, but they are ongoing, and I will tell you that my goals are for decisions to be made for grants by mid-December and for public art by the end of January. So we're going to take into account the holidays with the public art recruitment. We have started working with the facilitator, is what we're calling them, that we've talked about beginning on the retreat, working with staff and the commission at a later date around some of our internal planning. We've all had individual interviews with the facilitator on the staff and some of the commissioners as well, and staff spent a day with the team last week, working through some discussions to help us think about where we are in our work right now and sort of some prioritization type of things. Having a retreat was on the list for the next year ahead of us in our 1-year goals. So I'll share more about that ongoing in executive committee update meetings as we have them, but just know that is underway and it is going well. We are still searching for a new office space. Vivian referenced as well, but I think everybody knows, but we are on the countdown for this building. We've still got, I believe, up to 4 potential years in this building, but it is being acquired for other purposes. And so we are still working on new office location, hoping to find something that is really accessible to the communities that we serve, to artists, to organizations, to other community members that would be excited to, come to our office, use it as a space to help create and strengthen the culture that we are trying to build, and just being part of the community and just sort of trying to think about our new space as a important part of that. So that is ongoing. We're just about to hit the halfway mark of the current fiscal year, which means we're beginning to talk about next fiscal year, budget planning, some of that internal work that we will do before we get to the point of having to put our budget requests and things together. And so just naming that next month we'll be halfway through the fiscal year. So go us. Perfect time for the Advocacy Committee. And then I just wanted to mention the meeting schedule, which we've already talked about. So that is what I have for my report for you. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me anytime or ask now. Thank you all.
Can I just name the, in the conversations about the retreat that were raised and the facilitator and the new search, that there's a possibility that might kind of come together in a little way, right? So that we could have some time to do that kind of planning or what we've talked about in terms of not a big strategic plan, but before the hiring process starts. Is that right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thanks.
That's the intent, and that will inform the search, and that will, we just don't have we haven't timelined it out yet, but I know several of us, myself included, have met with the consultants and all the things, so moving along. And Ashley talked about the space. If any of you have any suggestions or ideas, as Ashley said, I mean, your space is somewhat tied to your identity, and we want to be sort of a hub for Nashville and for art. So if you have any ideas, please let us know, or any Metro-owned buildings that are hiding out there or anything like that. So exactly. So with that, does anybody have anything else? Thank you for your report, Ashley, and thank you for all you continue to do and give, and your professionalism. Commissioner, you.
I have a question. Does Metro Arts Commission is thinking to hire more people, or right now they have more positions, or in the future increase the staff?
So we actually have 15 positions that we are approved for. Positions are kind of tied to the budget process, and so position reports and vacancies are all looked at through the annual budget setting process. We do not have 15 people or anywhere near to 15 people right now, and so our finance officer will make number 10. Once we hire the grants manager and the public art manager, that moves us up to 12. After we make those hires, we will have a coordinator that follows each one. So a grants coordinator and a public art coordinator. Those will follow soon after. And then we still have that one approved FTE that I don't have a specific plan for right now to tell you. So we are already able to grow within what we are approved for right now, and I think it's just a matter of doing it. So when I started, just doing it. When I started, we had these key vacancies, and I made a decision to hire one by one instead of onboarding several people at once, just trying to look at some of the missteps that have been made in previous years. And so the one-by-one hiring means that there's more intentional onboarding and time spent with new staff that are joining the team. Of course, the drawback of that means that we've been understaffed this whole time. And so, again, shout out to the staff for working chronically understaffed for so long. But I believe that's been really important to making sure that we grow in a way that feels supportive and planned. And so once we hire these two team leads, the public art manager is the team lead for the public art program, the grants manager is the team lead for our positions that include restorative arts and community engagement, as well as the grants coordinator. Like I said, we'll have those two coordinator positions that will follow soon after, and that it will grow our team by 5 people in in these about 6 months or so. And so once we get there, I think we'll be able to like assess a little bit to think about strategic growth beyond that and sort of a pathway, because that's going to take advocacy if we want to grow beyond what we're already approved for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, for your intentionality going through these positions. I really appreciate it. It seems that this has gone so much better than in the past, and not rushing it, but being very intensive about it. So thank you. Anybody else? Any questions or anything for new business that needs to be added to next month's agenda? Okay. With that, I make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.